Hello, my name is Galatea, sister, and we're continuing with Saturnastra Lamina. This is chapter 15, 1-5. The following day in the garden, you put your hand in your pocket and find a strange fleshy thing. When you take it out, you grimace and you know that the fragment from the Sphynx had depretified, and you send the fairies to fetch the rest of the rocks, and they too had that particular bizarre look, and there were about 47 of those bizarre lumps of flesh. Your companions crowd around these bizarre-looking fleshy items that seem to have a heart palpitation, and Irving suggests, while wearing his iron bucket, maybe we should dissect one to see what's inside. Now that would be big section, and maybe we should put them in water, you say, scratching your head. And what is that drowns them? asked Fiore. Let me get this straight. You got this from a graveyard, right? And you have been carrying one particular stone for the last 15 years, asked Irving. That's about right, says the Bashmago. So what are they? I'm not an expert, but I do remember seeing something similar to this before. You see, my master used to make homunculus and other artificial beings, and I could never follow the way he went about them, and it seemed arbitrary at times, almost like a miracle. And I think we should put them in several places to see if something happens, like an experiment, suggests Irving. As long as you don't throw one into the chimney, you say, folding your arms. And despite your initial protestation, Irving will throw one into the fire when you were not looking, and you decide to forgive him after smacking him around a little with the pommel of your dagger. And a few were thrown into the fire, and a few were grabbed inside a portion of your rose your father gave you, and others were buried or were put in water that you had suggested. And Irving started carrying one in his pocket as well, and Fiore had several of them wrapped up like little babies. And those things doubled their sizes each day, and even the ones that were thrown into the flames. And in time, those figures start taking form, till they resemble little sphinxes of different makes and design. And those we had carried with us end up having our faces, which is weird. And you decide to name those critters after bones, and the first ones that take form was the one you carried, which you named Ulna. And like a kitten, they curiously touch everything that moves and complain every single moment. And it gets so intolerable that one day Irving kicks you and your companions out of the tower, and after much coaxing, he allows Irving to come back inside, alone. Without the semi-permanent home, you are forced to find residents in the city, and the problem is that no one is too keen on housing a necromancer and her small troop of curious little sphinxes. And then there is the wealth to consider, and you have focused so much on the abandon that you have failed to pay attention to your ever-dwindling funds. And Fiore suggests that we try to find a real job, and your only marketable skill is as a healer of sorts. And Fiore can also serve as a fencing instructor to other noble maidens. And in order to keep you and Fiore from working, the Bashmago tries an interesting gambit. He goes to one of the social clubs and reconnects with a relation that thought him long dead, and he plays his little farce well, and in time they believe that rumors about his death have been exaggerated. And he explained that he had been sick for quite some time, and it was only recently that he had finally been well enough to get up from his deathbed. And his companions were pleased, and also commented that he looked even better than ever for a man his age. Slowly he has been able to reopen his secret accounts in Urizen, and with his new funds he opens a legitimate business, a print shop. Printers were in charge of making copies of the newspaper, pamphlets, commercials, in addition to notarizing legal documents. And it wasn't a glamorous business, but it did put bread on the table and kept you and Fiore from going to work. And you spend your time looking after your new horde of sphinxes, and they grow up fast every day. And after a while, they develop the common sense of taking the form of humans while living in the city. And it is a bit hard to feel at time without having the abundance to worry about. And one day, while working with Fiore, a lady stops in her park and exclaims, "Oh my God, Fiore, is that you?" Frowning, Fiore asks, "Do I know you?" "Of course you know me. It's me, Joanna. Don't you recognize your own baby sister?" exclaims Joanna. "Ah, yes, Jojo. And last I checked, you were still in diapers," says Fiore coldly. "Why the hostility?" asks Joanna, she's eventually caught up by a stranger, older-looking guy, and grasping for air, he says, "And don't run like that, Joanna. You have me worried. And please, you must come home and see Mother. She has been worried sick about you all of these years, not knowing if you're alive or dead," says Joanna, taking Fiore's hand. And Fiore removes her hand and tells her, "Pretend you didn't recognize me, baby sis, and I can't go back there, and I fear I would die of boredom in that place." "Oh, don't say that," sighs Joanna, fake crying. And Fiore turns around to look at you for guidance. Unfortunately for her, this little piece of family drama is not your cup of tea. You will not force Fiora to the decision to reconnect with her family or not, and later on Fiora returns quite pensive, and she finds you bathing and plucking the feathers among your bird-brain companions, and the fairies amuse themselves in the garden while the children goes assist the Bashmago with his prince. And Fiora comments, even in death one still has to work. It's their choice, and you are nobody's forcing them to spend their afterlife working, and they could sleep eternally if Bassano give another chance to the loss of casualty. Like reincarnate. And what's important is being strong enough to allow oneself the opportunity to do these things that make one happy. Now the question is, will you allow yourself to be happy, Fiore? I don't understand, says Fiore, looking for confused. Now think about it, and I felt you were genuinely happy to see your sister, and yet your pride made you act hostile. And what is it that you're afraid of? Do you fear that your family will turn their back to go back to controlling you? It is a possibility. This is a real world and not some fairy tale, so you must make a choice, you say, looking sternly. I must choose between you or them, asked Fiore. Why not both? And a girl can have it all if she's willing to fight for it. No, my question is, if you're finally really worth all the trouble, and that is for you to decide, you say, closing the door to the pool known as the bird bath. The New Year's came, and whether the rains and the occasional hail, and it rarely snows as far south in the continent, and life has been rather peaceful and uneventful. And from time to time you hear the rumor of war in the frontier lands of the kingdom, and today the Bashman was asked to make a copy of a pamphlet advocating for open border approach for the refugee problem in the edge of the cities. And Fiore asked, and maybe we should go and see what we can do about it. And look at you being so proactive, you say sarcastically. Well, Irving spends most of his time with Irving studying magic, and after training I have a lot of free time, wants Fiore. You can help me with the print shop, comments the Bashmago. Nah, doing repetitive tasks is not really my thing, says Fiore. It does put food on the table, and it will not kill you to help out for at least 3 hours a day, and perhaps I might even be able to raise your allowances, says the Bashmago. And as of late he had taken control of all of our finances. You did not complain much, that you really did not have a good handle on money anyway. And Fiore frowning says, fine, I will find a job or something. A real job that pays well, says the Bashmago. Teaching is a dead-end job anyway, and you should try odd jobs like some nobles, and I hear the Silver Princess is hiring. The Silver Princess is a comical name given to the youngest daughter of the family of Albion, and her name is Suralia, and one of the many bastards of Mordred, and dragons and their illustrious progeny rarely made it for life, and Suralia had not inherited any of her father's draconic trait, not even the wings or tail, and she did have his azure eyes, and his icy breath and mild temperament. And you find Suralia in one of the gardens with her army of fashionable ladies in waiting, and she's always surrounded herself with beautiful girls, and she too is as dainty as a flower bud, and with her many laces and ribbons, and she smiles with her perfect sharp teeth, and her smile reminds you of your little brother. And after sipping her tea, she says, how do you do, Lamina? I'm just fine today, Lady Suralia, and I was told you were hiring people for odd jobs, and you say sitting down in a bench before, and Fiona sits beside you watching. I always have more needs of maids, and I can't find the energy to do anything on my own, so it seems, she says, pouting her perfect lips. In other words, you're a lazy lady, says Fiore, and one of her fairies pulls Fiore's hair after saying this, and Fiore apologizes. Sorry, my bad. No offense taken, Lady Fiore, says Suralia, smiling, and she asks, I am in need of someone of your particular talent to acquire information, and some of the lords have been pressuring into letting refugees into the city or to get rid of them all for good, and I need to know whom to let in and whom to dispose of. It will be a lot easier to just send them away, comments Fiore. Still, I do see the need to get rid of the unwanted elements. That is just it. There isn't much difference among the laws, says Suralia sadly, and then she starts explaining. Those involving shady businesses want everyone inside and to have plenty to pick from the litter. And then there are the artisans who are always in need of unpaid apprentices, and others want to restrict the entrance to any family that do not have any members with a journeyman's license, and as for my family, we would prefer to only allow women and children. And here's the fruit of our little dilemma. Yes, by the time you come into an agreement, the poor folk will probably starve to death, you comment grimly. It is not as if we do not have room for them. The war has caused our population to steadily decline, and these people will be a backbone to shore up our numbers. And though we must make certain that they abide by our rules for the sake of peace and prosperity of our fair city, says Suralia. I think I can help with that, and even counters who invest in the community have their uses, and I will compile a list, and I will make a healthy mix of the people I have mentioned, excluding the names of those who seek to destroy us from within. And just to be safe, I will brand the new entries and make them do a citizenship test after a couple of years to see if they manage to integrate into our society. You suggest, is that what you do back home? Inquired Theodore. We do not have a problem in my home because it is practically uninhabitable, and one has to be pretty strong to survive there, with the lack of air and all, you say, as a mandally. It sounds like a dreadful place to live, commented Sularia. I could say the same thing about this world, you say, frowning. And what's wrong with this world? We have mild climate, fertile ground, and plenty of animals to eat, and a little more, and it will be paradise, said Sularia, smiling. Thank you, we are glad you like it, you say, chuckling, and you leave Sularia to return. You leave Sularia and return back to the shop, and with the help of the fairies and the Sphynx, you draw up a profile of all of the people currently gathered outside the city walls, as well as the profile of the people who are at least who are at least a month away's journey. Together, there are at least 3,000 people, and the city has enough residences to house 25 new residents, and at its prime, the city was over 380,000 people, and the population started to decrease these last 5 years, and part of the problem is caused by the constant attacks from the Western Kingdom, and this combined with a large aging population has caused a lot of problems. And to solve the latter, the novel suggested granting free homes for women and children so much as they provide help for the elderly folk living there. And should they be discovered to do harm to their charges, they will be exiled or killed depending on the severity of the abuse. And this is just a suggestion you offer to Sularia, and for the following months there's a lot of movement in the city. And even with the provided information, none of the leaders seem ready to take a definite option to deal with the refugee problem. And in the end, Sularia suggests charging the candidates a fee to get a chance to enter the city, and those that cannot pay the fee will be sent away. None of the leaders want any poor people, even the ones who thought about women and children, and the fee idea is quickly rejected by the high priest of Methylos, the god of the soul, and he successfully argues this course of action could prevent them from taking advantage of the possibility of obtaining trained individuals who have fallen into hard times, and in the end it was agreed that those designed to get inside had to pay an entry fee and pass an exam, and pass a physical exam, or give an example of their craft. And children under the age of 4 were exempted from the above requirements. Through this slow and painful process, the desired candidates are slowly integrated into the city. And from time to time, one person does climb the wall or swim across the natural river barrier, and much to their dismay, they are quickly found out and sent back across the border. And even when they manage to stay hidden for a couple of days, the frontier guards discover their true identity. And in the midst of it all, you get occasionally pestered to provide additional information on the candidate, and the springtime comes and everyone is still working arduously on his magic craft. And sometimes you do not see him for days, but you at least get visited daily by his goat. The goat could still perform elementary magic. Tonight you awaken to notice a strange star shining in the sky, and Fiore too has been away for quite a few hours, and you blink a moment and then it is gone, and Fiore asks, "What was that about?" "Who knows," you say, Johnny, and you ask, "This just reminds me of something very important, and tomorrow go fetch Irving so I can relay the news to him as well." And when the sun rises, Fiore has left in search of Irving, and you decide that the gardens are the best place to discuss this pressing matter you have been putting off. And you smile when you note Irving wearing his maid robes, and he frowns for some reasons when he sees you, and he sits down beside you, and you see right of Fiore, and hanging above you is a flowering plum tree. "And what's the matter, Lamina?" asked Irving. "Is it about the war?" Your crowded entourage speaks about the garden, and they know that this conversation will not affect them, seeing as though they can follow your drive regardless of whether your path may take you. And as for your normal human companions, well, that is another story. You tell us plainly, "In less than 5 years I will be going home." "Is this your early goodbye?" asked Fiore, getting a bit teary-eyed. "More or less." You reach into your pocket and hand Fiore and Irving 2 cards. "This is my contact information. If you use this card, you can reach me even in my home." "And why can't we come with you?" asked Fiore. "Well, my home is a bit complicated, and not for the faint of heart, and it's what is nice and easy for people," you start saying when Irving interrupts. "For weaklings like us, you mean?" says Irving, looking visibly offended. "I didn't mean anything by it. Still, there are some truths people must learn to accept, and besides, I miss being me," you say, sighing. And Irving stares at her looking furious and says, "So your mission is done, and it's so long goodbye. And with us I leave us, and I left my family because of you, and I turned my back on humanity because of you, and I studied magic because of you, and now you was up and leave, just like that, purely on a whim." And you shake your head sadly and say, "It is not a whim, it is a promise I made to my mother that we would all go home together, and I take promises I make very seriously." And every silence followed, and the momentary silence is then broken by the bleeding of Irving's ghost. "And Samuel, and I never said I would stay with you forever. You should have expected this eventually, and life is filled with unexpected happenings, and parting is just one of those things." "And you know what I think? I think you just can't stand being around humans," says Irving between his teeth, and you give a wide grin and say nothing. And you get quietly and return to the print shop without looking at either Irving or Fiore, and according to the fairies, both stay behind discussing this unforeseen prospect. And Irving eventually returns to the tower, and everyone notices his crestfallen expression. And he tells Irving, "She has finally told you. You knew she was going to leave soon," asked Irving angrily. "Yes, this is what they are, and what she is," explains Ireton. "And what is she exactly?" asked Irving. "I can only speculate. Still, this is not the first time I have seen something like her, and these people, they only appear during times of crisis, or should I say when they consider a situation to warrant their attention, and the last time I saw one of the kind was more than 300 years ago. And back then it was only one, this homunculus, for lack of a better word, appear out of nowhere, and once her mission is completed, they just up and leave," explains Ireton. "So she was not lying about having siblings," as Irving. "I was not privy to the specs that went into creating her, nor am I aware of the social organization or the upbringing of those things. And you best put some emotional distance between yourself and that creature Lamina, and nothing good will come of loving a creature such as her, and those things are incapable of expressing love to you, the love you so desire," explains Ireton. And Irving absentmindedly strokes your card, which is inside his pocket, and for the following week you mutually decide to pretend you did not say anything. And in time your relationship is almost back to normal, though you feel Irving slowly growing more distant, and during midsummer a band of marauders starts making its way towards the city, and before the band is seen over the horizon, Sularia decides to organize a preemptive strike. And most of the city knights and guards belong to the family of Albion, and they can easily be told apart by their silver hair or white eyes. And keen not to be overworked, Sularia sends messages to the other municipalities to have them contribute with their share, and not desiring to argue, each municipality sends a soldier or weapons or both. And today you hear talks of the marauders are within sight, and the army of Sularia is marching up. And Irving's not at the tower, and he has a brown nose, one of those little sphinxes, to help him fly towards the castle walls to survey the situation. And by now the soldiers are already used to your little sphinxes and Irving flying about. And the cosmopolitan nature of the city makes them a little bit more open. And then there was that little contribution you make as a spy every once in a while, and not that spying requires much effort on your part, seeing as though the fairies do all of the heavy lifting. They look at you and the speaks as an aspect, and expect you to work for a cause should the need arise, and everyone watches the soldiers march towards the marauders. And the leader of the night goes to speak with the enemy messenger, and not trusting the intentions of the invader, makes Irving cast a needless shield around the knight of first. And the bastard is a genuine article, and indeed it requires no protection. And Irving smiles when he knows that the arrow shot at the knight bounces off harmlessly. And the knight smiles, and soon the battle commences, and Irving has gotten the hang of shield magic, creating protections around all those he considers the good guys. And he has also added fire to the flames of the war, but he has yet to learn to double cast, and plus he never had to protect so many people at once, and he's soon forced to tap into his reserve in the form of using some of the crystals that store magic away, and after 2 hours he runs out of magic and is forced to wait to replenish. And at first he tries drawing from nature, but he's far away from the nearest garden, and the Sphynx flies in towards one, where he draws power from the surrounding, and after a quick 5-minute charge he returns, and he keeps going back and forth like a lunatic till dusk, when both armies finally pull back. And while sitting in the guard tower, one of the soldiers comments, "If you wanted to help you had shot a bit desperate or something at the enemy, it would have been a lot more useful than the little shield thing you were doing for us." My offensive spells are far too chaotic to be of any use, and I was afraid of my reckless casting would hurt the people I was trying to protect, comments Irving sadly. "And next time we will send you first, and before sending out the rest of them," says the guard, laughing. "I don't really want to kill any humans, but I don't want my home to get invaded either," says Irving sadly. What are you, stupid? You can't have it both ways. And sure, you did not smite them directly, but you still help our soldiers, and that makes you as much of a killer as the blacksmith who made our weapons and armor, says the guard stoically. And Irving stands in the tower quite pensive, and the little Sphynx Vormir tells him, don't pay him any attention to the fool. You did the right thing. You're right. Let's go home, Vormir, says Irving, mounting on his back. And Vormir is one of the oldest of your horde of Sphynxes, and like you, he can switch between human and Sphynx form. And he also has the ability to make himself bigger and smaller in his Sphynx form, though he can only get as big as an elephant or as small as a hamster. And for our Preface, Vormir's mane is just a source of transportation. Till the end of the summer, Irving devises time in the tower and his occasional involvement in battle, and a few of the generals seem inclined to integrate him into the army. However, Sularia refuses to even discuss the matter, and in time this matter is buried, and the soldiers assume that she has her reservation because he's a magic user or that he's a foreigner. And both are always held in suspicion even after becoming productive members of Urizen's society. And for reasons the leader failed to understand, the random raids and invasions from the western feudal stopped one day, and it was mid-fall when rumors of the return of blood red started springing up, and the new influx of refugees would tell frightening stories about entire fields of soldiers massacred regardless of their banners. And this was naturally cause for concern for Sularia and the other nobles. And in the midst of all of those bizarre rumors was the tale that Bertha had been slain in a duel. And this news was the talk of the towns for months, and by the time winter came, they started giving credence to those rumors. And usually the doors came during the winter to collect Urizen's tribute, and this habit had never been broken over the last 200 years, and it was always on the same date at the same time. The punctuality of the tax collector was always unnerving, and the nobles did not know what to make of their assets, and today was the start of the second week of the 14th month, and the taxes had been collected at the usual rate, and in case the lords visited, and Irving's not at the tower today, and he finds you and Fiore unwinding by making attires for our flock of Sphynxes, and they each have now settled down enough for both human or not. And Fiore had not done knitting work for quite some time, and he was starting to miss it, and Irving enters the print shop and makes his way towards the living quarters that were on the second floor. And he opens the door and gives his salutation. Fiore says hello to you, Irving, and you're looking well. It only insists on maintaining my health, and studying magic is a sedentary venture, and it is easy to become a couch potato as he describes it. And he says, smiling, and his face grows somber as he sits down before you. Are you still frightened about my eventual departure? You ask, not looking up. I'm over that, says Irving, nodding, and he stops a moment to pet his coat, and the goat follows him like a shadow this day, except when the tower lights grow dull. And both now Irving and his goat do wander about, and says his pleading companion always returns after a few hours. And looking steadily, Irving asks, and what do you know of the lords? And I heard rumors that they are late in collecting tribute. What does this mean for Urizen? First of all, they are not late, they came in the last, and 2 days ago was their last visit, as a matter of fact, and they will no longer be collecting tribute from this country or from any other, you answer. And why have the nobles not informed the people? Asked Irving. And why should they? They can continue taxing the people the same way, only this time they keep everything instead of sharing it with Vertebrae, you say. And maybe we should print something to inform the people of this problem, suggested Fiore. And while bother news speak cannot be kept hidden for long, and the nobles cannot help but discuss this day and night, and there was a paper scene with the servants constantly eavesdropping. And then there's the same of the servants spread the news to the neighbor, or to the bars, or to the drunken companion, you explain what needing. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Bye-bye, God bless.